What's going on, everybody? Wilson here, your spiritual hype man. I'm super happy to be back. Thanks for listening. And today we got a special guest. Her name is Becky Mangolia, right?
Magnolia.
Magnolia. Look, sometimes I'm
Man,
I'm the
that's a
worst.
new one. That's a new one.
Yeah. No, so like the flower, Mango.
Like the
Yeah, I
flower.
can't even say it.
Becky Magnolia.
Yeah, Magnolia. And just to give me a little bit of excuse, English was my second language.
Okay,
So,
that's good. That's
okay.
good. It's okay. I'm always open to new names.
Becky, I'm super happy to be back. Thank you again, and I'm sorry for chopping up your last name, but we are
That's
here.
okay.
Man, go. See, I can't even do it. I'm gonna stop. We'll do it at the end. I promise I'll get it. Um, so
Okay.
we were talking a little bit beforehand, and actually for new listeners, let's just give them a quick rundown of what the podcast is and what we do. So really, the concept or the theory is nothing changes until you do. It's throughout anybody's life. There are things that we go through, and there are outcomes that we come to that we wake up and we're like, I don't like this feeling. This is definitely not where I want to be. There's definitely something I got to change, right? So for me, or the way we've started perceiving it and understanding breaking things down is like, okay, influence creates a thought or becomes a thought, influence thought, emotion, that thought then drives an emotion or creates an emotion. That emotion then drives a decision within the situation, then it gets your outcome. So again, it's influence thought, emotion, decision, action, then leads to an outcome. And so if we get to these outcomes that we're not happy with, then it's trying to figure out what reverse engineering, like, okay, what was my decision? What influenced that decision? What was that emotion in that moment? Where did that emotion come from? What were my thoughts? And then where did that come from as far as my influence? And where do I have to deep dive inside to like really start working on that and being more present and aware of the things that we need to, decide not to do or do in those situations, which I'm sure you've been in situations where it's like, I know I shouldn't be doing this. And then you go do it anyway. And then you get
Yes.
the same outcome, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're like, oh fuck, I know I got to change that next time. So that's really the key to the podcast is the sharing stories like this, whether it's through business, finances, friends, family. There's always some certain situations that we find ourselves that we're like, okay, how do we get past this? And I feel like it's a beautiful thing when people share it. So Becky,
Yay.
tell me. Tell me a little bit, tell me who you are right now, what's your backstory, and what's something that you're going through right now that, that you're working towards change in your life.
Yeah, so I'll start with I've got a good backstory. I'm proud of it. As a, I've written novels. I'm a writer, so that's my background. I'm a writer. I've done many things, many hats, but my true core is that I'm a writer.
Awesome.
But even beyond that, I'm a storyteller. So I believe we all have stories.
All right.
And our stories are our route to our healing, basically. So my story begins, my dad was a psychiatrist
What?
and my mom was an artist, grew up Jewish in the Midwest, which I actually wrote a book all about growing up Jewish in the Midwest. So most everybody around me was Lutheran
Right.
or like good kind of Wisconsin Christians. It's
Not
very
not
different than
Jewish.
Florida Christians. Yeah. It's very different. It's very calm. There's very, waspy. And then my family was from the East Coast and we were loud and noisy and expressive. And and my mom, I'm, doing, and she's still alive. And so I don't want to say, too many things, but she had her own mental illness struggles, which made it
Right.
an interesting thing. So you have the psychiatrist who's like the mental health professional, and then
Right.
the mom who was mentally ill. And so that was my dynamic growing up, was kind of
Wow.
this loud, expressive Jewish family and this, psychiatrist and this crazy mom.
Wow.
And so
So that was
when
an influence. That was your influence growing up.
that was it. I
Wow.
mean, and it actually makes me wonderful. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, we would, diagnose the neighbors at breakfast, when I was
That
12 years old. We're like, oh yeah, they're clearly borderline personality. Like that was our thing.
was your conversation.
Yeah, that was like breakfast. But yeah, when I was 14, I started I had my own neuroses. And it made sense that now when I look back, of course I was neurotic. I had a crazy mom.
Yeah.
And I'm saying this with love. I don't want to
Yeah, of
say
course.
this with like harshness, but I had a very crazy kind of narcissistic mom. And so So I was responding like one does, a really empathic, very kind of sensitive kid.
Mm,
And I started exhibiting signs of kind of self-harm,
mm,
kind of like anorexia, a lot of different things. And so my dad, being the psychiatrist, jumped on this
mm.
and probably wanting to help me, right? He was probably, and he was an adolescent psychiatrist, so his specialty was teens. So he jumped on it, and this was the early 80s when antidepressants were coming out, and they were really big into this diagnose like this is a physiological problem. Like this
Right.
is not an environment thing. This is not nurture, it's nature.
Right.
So like they got me into a psychiatrist, one of my dad's colleagues, and sat me on the couch and said, "You have a clinical problem. It is just like diabetes. Your brain is broken,
Wow.
and you're gonna have to be on medicine and therapy for the rest of your life," is basically what I was given. So
Wait, can we pause there for 1 second?
yes, go ahead.
How insane is that?
Yeah,
It's
I know.
crazy, right? Like, and
Yeah,
and so on a macro level, like when I hear things like that, it's like, and then how we, it's being able to see the big picture. Like for me, I feel like it's generational things as well
yeah,
as far as generational
yes.
slash what society has approved or thought to be true at the time, and
Mm-hmm.
and maybe the lack of self-awareness and consciousness
Yeah,
to the
yeah.
things that are actually happening, right? So like
Right.
what you said, where it was more what nature, not nurture, like right,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
kind of crazy, and I feel like a lot of people based on I guess like age wise, like between certain ages, right? Whether
Yeah.
you grew up with like 70s, 80s, 60s, from the 50s on, I feel
Right.
there was a
Right.
lot of that
Yeah.
with children growing up, right? Later on
Yeah.
as adults, we're like, yeah, I don't know what the fuck was happening, but
Right.
our child, it was fun, but it was fucking nuts. Right, right. But okay, cool. I just wanted to make that point because it's absolutely like, to think when you go back now, if you think of certain things like that,
Yeah.
even go back way back when, like certain, like even like slavery, things like that. It's like, it's kind of
Yeah.
insane that people were okay with that, or
Yeah.
like there was a
I mean,
certain,
right. And it's funny, but I'll be honest with you. So I'll fast forward my life until so about 8 years ago, I got divorced. And that was a really God, I hate using the word wonderful, but it was a really important, like you need to have those jarring experiences to kind of slap you in the face
mm,
because I was dependent and needy because I was raised to be dependent and
right.
needy. I was told I was broken. I mean up until this was, I was 45 when I got divorced.
Mm.
I still had the tape running. Becky is broken and and so my
That's
poor
crazy.
ex-husband who I still love, but he like ended up being my caretaker. He just kind of inherited that. So, I got divorced and ended up at a therapist's office. He was a transpersonal therapist. I didn't even know what that meant.
Okay.
I knew it kind of maybe meant maybe a little magical, maybe a little
Right.
woo-woo,
Yeah.
and I'm like, okay, I'm game.
Yeah. Right.
I sit down with him. He looks like a normal everyday therapist. He looks like Freud, like he's got the beard and everything. And I think it was like in our second session or third session, he looks at me and says, Becky, you're not bipolar. So that was what they eventually decided I was, even
Wow.
though I didn't have any of the DSMV,
Yeah.
I was not bipolar. I was a moody kid, but not,
Yeah. You had emotions.
I have
Like,
emotions and I'm an empath. I'm an
right.
empath. I
Right.
feel life. I'm a poet. I
Yeah.
feel life. So, yeah. So anyway, he's like, Becky, he's like, you're just kind of magical,
Yeah.
because, and I'm like, okay, what does that even mean? But that was about 4 years ago, 5 years ago,
Wow.
and that set me on a totally new path
Cool.
where it's like maybe like these intense feelings of connection I have are actually a good thing. It's not mania.
Yeah.
It's not, oh, she's crazy. It's no, she's hyper aware.
Right.
I can step into the woods and hear the trees.
Yeah.
I fall in love with everyone I meet. It's
Yeah.
like that's not a disorder,
Right.
you know? And so that's where I'm at now in my journey is trying to reclaim who I am
Wow.
as Becky, the magical human, you know.
Magnolia. Magnolia.
Yes,
See, I got it.
you got
Let's
it.
go. That's right. That's right.
Right, Becky Magnolia, which is a name I gave myself, basically.
Awesome.
Um, yeah, and so there's my backstory right there.
Yeah, no, and so I feel like again, historical, like if we look at history, the people that had that sense or were like that or are like that,
Yeah,
that don't fit within this like, society structure of what it seems to be normal have always been looked at that way, right? Like as manic or
right,
something, or like,
right,
uh, and I feel like obviously, look, there's extremes, right? There's extremes and
right.
extremes on both sides,
Absolutely.
but there's
Yeah,
also this sense of like of being able to go into the woods and really be in tune with Mother Nature, right?
yeah,
Whereas some people may not see that and like, what is this crazy lady doing?
right.
Like, hugging these trees and dancing around in their in her bare feet. Well, also now like there's more of that awareness and more of that awakening, I think, happening
Yes.
amongst a lot of people, like more than masses, right?
Yeah,
Um, which again, I guess my point is like things start developing and like when more and more people at least try or at least try to like break from that system, almost like the Matrix, like the movie The Matrix.
right,
You start
right.
breaking from the system and understand that like, hey, like as a human being, we're very like connected to certain things. Frequency is real, energy is real, natural healing is real, these are the things that for me personally, also create. And the whole thing of being an empath, of understanding how someone may feel in the moment, that's something that not a lot of people have innate. Like I feel people can learn it or tune into it if they want
Hmm.
to.
Yes.
But some people just have this, like they have it right away,
Yeah,
as little, like and
yeah.
that comes from like obviously your influence or how you're brought up or some part of nurture and
Hmm.
nature. I would say
Hmm.
more nurture than anything.
Yeah,
But yeah, no,
yeah.
that's it. So take me, what are you going through now? So what are some of the feelings now from, I guess, the 4 years ago? I feel like that doctor saying you're magical sort of kind of, that was the influence or the thought or the emotion that started
Yeah,
creating a
yeah.
different decision inside of
So
you.
that was, yeah. I'm at a pivotal point because so that was about, like I said, 4 or 5 years ago, but I've been stuck. So like where it's like it's like, okay, I see this, I see, and when I say I'm magical, it's like, and when I say I'm special, doesn't that, I think everybody's special. I mean,
Right.
everybody has this, we all have this in us. But to be able to honor it in myself, because that wasn't really given to me. In fact,
Right.
it was the opposite. I was told I was weak and needy and dependent. And so to be able to step into this going, oh no, and look around and say, "Oh, I've got this skill set, and I am powerful, and I
Hmm.
can make change in the world, and I can be a helper in this world." But right now, I'm going into something where trying to figure out with my relationship with my mom. My father passed away a year and a half ago. My mother is still alive, and she's in the hospital actually right now, which has triggered um, a lot of stuff. Like I've been just kind of isolating myself because I don't know how to do it
Mm.
because she needs help, I think. But her and I have not talked for a year and a half since my father's funeral, which was a huge decision on my part.
Mm.
Um, and it was important because I needed boundaries because I didn't have them.
Right.
And so now it's like, okay, letting mom in, but how do I do this become a new person where I get to set the rules? I get to
Right.
set the rules. Somebody doesn't get to take over my life. Somebody doesn't get to invade. And also love her at the same time. Like
Right.
how, because I do. Like I love her and I don't want her to suffer. But how do I do that in such a way that I love me first?
Right.
That I need protection, the protection I didn't have when I was little,
Yeah.
you know?
So how are you working through that as far as like what comes up? Like, do you have, are you writing down? Are what's some things that come to mind as far as like, because I feel like when we get into these moments, we sort of know what we need to do and how to do it,
Yeah.
but at the same time, we're sort of battling like, is that the right way to do it?
So, I'm literally like right at this moment of change. Like I literally just hired a life coach this morning, like 3 hours ago.
Oh.
I do everything. We can talk about my book a little bit, later, but, I do everything based on this kind of what pulls me. And
Hmm.
I allow kind of the magic and synchronicity to show me where to go next. This lady literally popped into my feed 2 days ago, just doing some video. And I'm like, and I felt pulled, like, and I
Oh.
just just reached out to her, and now I just sent her $500, and we're going to do we're going to do, at least a month here of work together.
Cool.
Totally like kind of wacky. She's just, but she's like a fairy godmother. She's in her 70s, and I'm like,
Right.
okay, let's do this.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I'm just shelling out the money that I don't really shouldn't be spending, and so that's how I do it. I think the main way I do it is I listen. I get
Okay.
quiet and I listen and I feel where I'm pulled next.
Okay.
And that pull seems to take me just where I need to go.
Awesome. Well, why don't we let's do a little preempt together, like right now. So let me ask you a couple questions.
Sure.
If it were maybe 2, 3 weeks from now, like is mom at the hospital right now?
Yeah.
Okay. And is she at the hospital to like come back out, or she's basically at the hospital for end of life care?
I know she'll come back out. I think she's just getting some treatments. They're taking care of her.
She's
Uh,
stubborn enough not to go. Is that what you're telling me?
I wasn't gonna say
That's
that.
funny. That's funny.
Again, we love her.
Yeah,
We
of
love
course.
her, but
No, of
yes.
course, of course. No, no, I get it. Like, listen, I feel like it's the same thing. So let me give you a little, like, I'll share a little bit about my mom. So I
Sure.
grew up with my mom, and again, episode 4, on the podcast, the first one, it's called My Abusive Mom. So yeah, she's great, big heart. Just, growing up, it was very tough because of certain things, et cetera, et cetera. And for the longest, I had some sort of resentment. Like I had a lot of resentment, a lot of anger. And then I realized it took me, was it 5 years ago? So for me, it was
Yeah.
5 years ago.
Yeah.
I literally started thinking about things. I was like, man, if I were, I just put myself in her perspective. I put myself in her shoes and I said, if I were her at that age, having a kid,
Yeah.
she was born in Colombia. I was born in Colombia, and she came into
Hmm.
to the U.S.
Hmm.
Male-driven society at that point. She failed relationships. Like
Yeah.
every other guy lied to her.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and so putting all these things, and then learning more about how she grew up with my grandfather and everybody else. And again,
Hmm.
generational. That's where I'm like, man, there's a lot of
Hmm.
generational ish here that, again, society as a
Hmm.
collective is like, hey, it's okay to beat your kids. Cool, beat them. Like, or whatever that was, at that
Right.
generational decade
Right.
or gaps. Um,
Right.
so I realized that, and I was like, you know what? Like, I was like, at that moment, I forgave her. I was like, I don't think I would have
Yeah.
done
Yeah.
equally. I don't think
Yeah.
I would have done better or equally like as
Yeah.
she did. I probably would have done way worse. And so at
Yeah.
that moment, I had called her and I said, Mom, listen, I just want to let you know, don't worry about it. I was like, from today
Right.
on, I forgive you. Because before she, like we've cried and stuff and whatever, but it would come back to the same thing. So I would have phone calls with her. And at some
Hmm.
point she says some shit that would like it just like, why would you even say that?
Right.
Or why would you even like it makes no sense. And I growing up, like it used to be not good enough. So if I did this
Yes.
or the honor, like whatever it was, fill in the blank, I was always
Yeah.
a good kid. Like my neighbors would be like, oh, you have such a great kid, but it wouldn't be good enough for her. And so
Yeah.
that was a lot of the stuff that like I dealt with in terms of anger, resentment towards her. And then I would
Yeah.
have that also with like, I just have it deep down inside where like it would explode if then I became super inebriated. Right. So
Right.
too much
Right.
drugs, too much
Right.
alcohol, like,
Yeah.
and then there'd be
Yeah.
this explosion of craziness.
Yeah.
So since then, though, I started realizing I was like, okay, I forgave her. I had that conversation, and we've had a much better conversation.
Hmm.
A couple weeks or maybe a couple months after that,
Yeah.
it was I said something, I was joking around or something, and then she flipped her script and got mad, and we didn't talk for like we didn't talk. But the crazy part is I was okay. Like I wasn't angry that we didn't talk. I was just more of like, look, if that's where she's at right now, let her be. Like
Yeah.
let her do her thing. At some
Yeah.
point when she's ready, or at some point when I'm ready, I'll talk to her. And then we
Yeah.
we just kind of picked off, from where we broke it off for a minute.
Right.
Um, and so it's just like now I'm not even phased. Like when these things happen, like I'm not even phased. Like I now think it's
Mm-hmm.
funny. I'm like, I can't believe that she got
Hmm.
mad at me because I said X, Y, and Z. I'm like,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
just funny, and I don't let it affect me to the point where how it used to affect me anymore.
Right. Right.
So I don't know if there's any like parallel there, but for sure, you know,
Yeah.
and I would say here's the other thing. I sometimes would think extremes. So sometimes I think about like with my other half, Patty. Sometimes I'm like, man, what if I died yesterday? Like it's crazy that I think that way.
Yeah.
But it certain thoughts like that help me
Yeah.
like ground myself in the moment. and then
Yeah.
really appreciate the moment. So
Yeah.
whatever that means to you, if there's a way that
Yeah.
you can take that on as far, because like, you said you love her, you want to be there for her, but you also want to set your boundaries.
Hmm.
And I feel like for you, it's like if your boundaries are set for yourself, even though the
Hmm.
person may hear it, like in this same thing with
Hmm.
my mom, it's even though she knows
Yeah.
there's boundaries,
Yeah.
the reason that because she's not at the level of consciousness or awareness to make that
Yeah.
change,
Yeah.
it's going to happen. She's going to do it again. And I
Yeah.
know there's going to be moments that in the next
Exactly.
couple of years, she's going to
Yeah.
flip her shit for some reason. She's going to say
Yeah.
something that's like, why would you say that?
Yeah.
But then I also realized that like she's still in that routine or that influence of like, this is how her automatic response of this is what I'm going to do in this situation because this is what I feel comfortable in
Yeah.
versus how do I change my situation so I don't get to the point where my kid doesn't want to talk to me or vice versa.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's just, just some thought there to, to think of. Because I'm sure it's hard. I'm sure it's hard to talk to someone, like that at some point.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but yet they're very much connected to you as in this case being our moms. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's, I mean, I'm at an interesting point, but I know that the patterns that I've had of giving of myself, like I just do it, like I do it constantly. I do it all the time, and it's actually my greatest gift
Right.
is that I can sit with anybody and be with them and just pour out love. Like I'm
Yeah.
just, and this isn't like a brag or anything. It's just that's just how I am. Is
Yeah.
when I'm in that state, I can just I give love. It just kind of falls off of me. So that's my gift. But at the same time, where is that line between myself and the other person? And like, I don't think I know where it stops. Like,
Mhm.
I could just love, 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 but then like people will take advantage of me. And in the case of my mom, I'm kind of programmed, to give her, everything she asks for. And but I think with her mental illness, she that we don't have any way of having that dialogue
Right.
without her pulling. I mean, even to this day, I mean, I just opened up contact and she's I want more, I want more, I need you to, and I panic and I don't feel safe. And
Mhm.
so to me, number one thing is, and I'm saying this with so much love for her, like I'm imagining if she was listening to this, it's like there's something in my body, and it's so much people talking about polyvagal theory
Mhm.
and PTSD,
Yep.
CPTSD, and embodiment theory. And it's like I'm just learning how to listen to my body and know when it doesn't feel safe.
Mm.
And I realize in most of my life, I haven't felt safe in my own body.
Mm.
I have, and like this life coach I was talking to today, not fully trusting myself. And so I've been betraying myself over and over and over again. And so for me, those boundaries have to be set, first and foremost, that I feel safe.
Yeah.
My safety is number one.
Yeah. Of course.
And which you say of course, like it's like of course, right?
Yeah. Right.
But for me that's a novelty. That's a
Right.
novelty to be able to say that,
Right.
like I don't feel safe here. To be able to say that is a big deal,
No,
you know.
I'm right there with you, especially when you're that type of giver, right? When you're
Yeah.
that type of, and
Yeah.
you're like, yeah, no problem. Yeah, no problem. Sure, I'll do it. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
So, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So can we go into a little bit of the relationship, I guess the divorce, and then we can see if can we tie that? Is
Sure.
that okay to talk about? Are
Sure.
you okay with that?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, well, I'll see how far I want to go with it, but yeah, sure.
Yeah. So take me a little bit through that. Like how, I'd love to know like the emotional roller coaster of when it like the beginning of how it was great, how when it got to like no, and then like the aha moments, I guess, that you got from it. Cause I think like you said, you go through these situations to sort of
Hmm.
get to the next level of or
Yeah.
the next
Yeah.
outcome.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of funny because I'm talking about this publicly, but I believe that, talking about things publicly, like you heal, you help other people heal as well. So,
Mhm.
I think that, I think I was raised, like I said, to be a dependent. And so my relationship with my ex-husband, I don't, whether he was feeling it that way, I don't know. But I knew I needed to go to the next level because I was dependent on him, and I was starting to like I learned to ride a motorcycle. I started, I was becoming active in in local politics, and I was becoming more myself,
Mm,
and from that kind of pulling away from him.
mm,
And I think intuitively, like on a very deep visceral level, I always knew in the back of my mind that this Becky who is emerging now, Becky Magnolia, needed, I hate to say it, but needed to be on her own
mm.
to work through this stuff, to
Right.
work through, and even, I mean, terribly, like I think I needed to be in, like, I dated a guy right after my divorce, and it was kind of borderline abusive. It was kind of, we were playing that, and it's like I almost think I needed the reality check that, this world is not just cushy safe. That there's, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. How did that like? What was that like? And then when did you make the decision to be like, all right, this ain't for me?
Um, it happened slowly. Like I needed to, because he was just kind of borderline abusive. Like, I mean, I think, I don't think I ever used those words with him. I just realized that there are people out there who are going to take from me,
Mm,
and not always give back.
right.
And so that's how I kind of like got out of that one, is that I started finding myself. And so kind of that relationship just kind of fell away as I started becoming like not taking his shit anymore. And
Right.
he just wasn't interested anymore. Like it just I wasn't so needy. So he's just like,
Right. And again, I feel like for him, it's he's probably grew up in a way that again influenced that sort of
yes.
behavior. And also
Oh,
you
totally.
become somewhat compatible until someone changes, and then
Yeah.
all of a sudden it's like, oh man, yeah, it's insane. And not insane,
And
but insane.
yeah. But what's interesting, and you're seeing it, like, I mean, the same thing with my mom. It's like
Right.
you can see, and maybe this is kind of the problem with being an empath, is I can see everybody's stories. Like
Yep.
I used to work in a convenience store, and like people could come up to the counter, and if I talked to them for more than 3 minutes,
Yeah.
I could tell like their story. And
Mm.
I knew why they were wounded, and it's kind of a weird gift to have, um but yeah, what do it's like, what do you do with that? But I had compassion for my partner, even though he was like, this wasn't super healthy, but it was like I couldn't really be mad at him because he was just doing his thing. We're all
Right.
just doing our thing, right?
Right. Yeah, that's absolutely true. No, it's great. It's great. Like just seeing you, just looking at you and hearing you, you're on the path,
Right.
you're on the path.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. You're on the path. Because you think about it, like if you weren't, right, you would have been in the two previous relationships that you may have hit this emotional or conscious or awareness wall where,
Right.
sometimes people
Right.
force themselves because they're in this sort of pattern of relationship with other people. And I feel like as far as like the whole giver thing, like you've already identified it, right? So for
Yeah.
people, and I think for us it's the same thing. It's like you identify the moments that you're not happy with, and now it's
Mhm.
identifying the moments of change and then
Yeah.
those decisions that need to be made. So same
Yeah.
thing with like mom or anybody moving forward. It's like, even though you can love everybody, if
Hmm.
people you're not that receptive to it or not receptive to the giving back, you have one or
Yeah.
two choices, or you have a couple of choices, but really it's one of two choices. Do I continue the relationship or do I
Yeah.
not?
Yeah.
And I think for you, it's just being okay making those decisions and
Yeah.
knowing that the things that you've made so far up
Yeah.
into this has gotten you to where you are now, which
Yeah.
I believe is probably one of your most aware and happy. I would say happy. Are you the most happy at this moment, or at least
No,
like
I'm miserable.
no, stop. You
Well,
think
it's
so?
so funny. It's so funny because I can sit here and laugh with you. And I
Yeah.
think I'm feeling life more fully.
Yeah.
So it's like I feel like this ecstatic connection,
Yeah.
like sitting here with you, and I can laugh and everything. But in the same moment, like I'm also feeling all of the shadow and all of the wound and all of the fear. I mean, I was just on a video call with this new life coach, like yeah, like 2 hours ago, 3 hours ago, sobbing.
Yeah.
And, and then I'm feeling panic and I'm feeling all of these things. So I don't know if I'm happier, but I
Okay.
think I'm more alive,
Yeah.
if that makes
Yeah,
sense.
no, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah. Which it still
Being
sucks
no,
though.
yeah, being more alive doesn't mean that you're always going to be the happiest, but it's definitely to me, I feel like you're definitely on the path to be to get to that place. Because I feel
Yes.
like if you don't go through it, right? If you don't go through those emotions, if
Yep.
you don't let release those somehow,
Yeah.
how do you get past it?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
And I'm a bit of an emotional junkie, I would say, and I think I get kind of hooked onto my emotions a little bit too much. And I'm hoping with the work with this life coach, maybe she can help me, maybe not attach to the emotions
Hmm.
quite so much. I'll tell you a quick story. So I was just talking to, I have a lot of like healer friends, and I was
Sure.
talking to a wonderful healer. His name's Dave Markowitz yesterday, and he told me this story about how he was on an airplane and that like it was one of those turbulence things that like
Yep.
all of a sudden everything just dropped,
Yeah.
and he said everybody in the airplane was like except for these two boys who like reacted and they both went wee and they're like do it again. So the whole plane is freaked and these two young boys were like fuck yeah.
Right.
And and so he and I were my friend Dave and I were talking about we and the experience of like can we do this life we
Yeah.
we're all
Yeah.
on the same airplane,
Yeah.
but how do we see it,
Love it.
right?
I love it. Yeah, that's a great metaphor. A great visual for sure. Because I've
Yeah,
been on a plane like that and I've been like, fuck.
right,
You know,
exactly.
instead, yeah, right. I like that. And so, all right. So we have a couple minutes. So let's sort of
Okay,
we'll finish on this one. We'll definitely have to get you back on episode two.
okay.
So I guess for me, it's like, how do we connect? Because we want to talk. All right, real quick, we want to talk about your book. So we'll do
Yes.
that shortly.
Mhm.
Give us a quick 1 minute about your book, and then I want to go back to the we.
Okay. So, my book is called Joyride, A Soulful Adventure Along A1A. So, I don't know where you're located. I'm located in Northeast Florida. A1A is like the backbone of Florida. So it's like, it's the soul of Florida to me. It's the
That's right.
highway. And so I wanted the area is changing so fast here, and I'm worried that we're losing our soul as more people come.
A little bit.
We're small town. We
Yep.
think small, we move slow. And so I wanted to preserve that. So my premise was I'm going to interview as many people as I can who live and work along A1A.
Yep.
And it was going to be a quick tourist book. I was going to be able to make enough money to pay for my coffees. It was easy, quick book. I've written 16 books. This is a snap for me. So I
Awesome.
would just do these interviews. Well, I started doing the interviews and realized that they weren't just tell me about your business.
Right.
It was more like people started, like, I would say more than half of the interviews, somebody cried during the interview. They were intense, emotional, more like what you and I are doing, more like an intimate podcast.
Right.
And I realized that I had something completely different going on, that these people, these business owners or whatever, were working on me and I was working on them. And there was some kind of healing going on. So it became
Woo!
yeah. So it went from this quick little business book where I can make a couple bucks
Yeah.
to holy fuck,
Yeah.
like life and love, and I am living my purpose. That was the other part of this is I realized I was living my purpose doing this.
Yeah.
Um,
And that's why people opened up to you because of your
yeah,
gift.
yeah, exactly. And so the book, I made it like a coffee. I self-publish all my books. It's a square coffee table book. I have photographs in there. These people are my friends now. And it's you get to hear their intimate stories about their lives.
That's
And
right.
I mean, you'll cry reading it. It's so fucking beautiful. Sorry, I keep swearing,
No,
but
it's fine. It's fucking fine.
okay. So yeah, this is where my life is taking me is
Yeah.
kind of what you're doing is sharing our stories,
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. You're on your path, you know. Just
So
keep tuning
can I
in.
yeah, so can I say my webpage?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay, so it's beckymagnolia.com.
Okay. Becky
Beckymagnolia.com.
Magnolia dot
Yeah.
com.
Magnolia.
All right, so here's what we're gonna do, Becky. We're definitely
Okay.
gonna get you back on the show. We're gonna do an episode two for sure. If it's one thing for anybody that's sort of dealing with what you're dealing with currently, what would you say to them? And you have 30 seconds.
I'm just gonna say, we
Whee!
we got that's all it is we
Yeah,
gotta like it sucks. The plane rides, the plane's gonna get over eventually, but like let's enjoy it while we're on it and let's shift our perspective to enjoy the ride. And
that's
and
it.
really joyride, enjoy the ride.
Joyride. Wow. Okay. That's next volume two, right?
Right.
Okay. All right. So Becky, this is what we'll do. I definitely let's follow up like in maybe 2 weeks. And I'd love
Mhm.
to see where you're at, and we can revisit. We can talk a little bit more about everything else.
Okay.
That work?
Okay.
Cool.
Sounds good.
All right,
Okay.
everybody, you heard it here. Just remember, if you're not feeling well, it's all the thoughts in our head. We just got to figure out how to change those prompts, right? Put ourselves outside, put our feet on the beach somewhere, or if not at the beach in the forest, just do something different and prompt yourself. I'll see you guys again in the next one. We'll see you guys again soon, and don't forget, nothing changes until you do. Peace.